It's day one for the medical mission, A Hand Up for Haiti, and we are just beginning to know some of our friends in the local orphanage. We've seen some of the Cambry orphanage in Lake High. 100 of the 400 children here are from Port-au-Prince.
Were abandoned in the street. Most of them were found on garbage piles and doorsteps of people's houses, and they take them to us.
We see children crowding together on the front porch, all dressed in matching pink gingham and blue skirts. They're quiet, not boisterous as you expect a group of children to be. Some are extremely thin. One child was combing the other's hair. Girl after girl sits on the floor as she works.
Number 3.
To be sure that they're not PO. They need to be IV.
The doctors are unpacking now and getting ready. They haven't started work yet. There was a delay getting here last night because a bridge washed out. Saji? Soon we'll be going to the hospital and the clinic, and I'll be posting more reports from there. I'm Kim Bratton in Lake High, Haiti. There are a lot of earthquake refugees here. They arrived without food, many without clothing, the basic necessities. But their psychological welfare is perhaps a bigger, longer-term problem.
Were you in the earthquake?
Dr. Joe Maturano is a Charlotte psychiatrist who is trying to treat children having severe nightmares now.
We brought some pharmacy medicines to try to help them sleep. You got to be careful in children. You want to try to make them feel safe and secure, but it's hard when the aftershocks keep occurring now, and so it even exacerbates the pre-existing trauma because they never know if it's going to happen again.
It's hard to see such need.
It hurts. That's why I'm here. Ever since the earthquake, I just couldn't resist coming.
The people who run the orphanage will broadcast the doctor's arrival on the radio tomorrow, and they expect to be swamped. Haitian school buses are not used to transport children. Our medical crew loaded hospital supplies onto one first thing this morning, and then we climbed aboard. First stop, the Cambry orphanage, to drop off clothing. But we didn't get far. A child showed his ankle, which was possibly broken and hadn't been treated, to Charlotte orthopedist Jerry Barrett.
Hey, Jamie, you know those pink boots we found, those cast boots? We need to bring one of those back here to put on this young man. We're going to put a cast on him. And that boy that we had at the hospital with that open wound, we're going to do the same thing, just cut the top out of it.
Okay.
So what was wrong with the kid's foot?
Well, they said he might have gotten hit by a rock or some sort of trauma. He hurt his ankle. He probably has a fracture or break.
Downtown Lake High doesn't show much earthquake damage. We're told it's about 100 miles from Port-au-Prince, but there is extreme poverty here. Ramshackle buildings, no paint, no sanitation. People walk in the streets, and the cars dodge them. We finally made it to the hospital. It took us about 2 hours, but we're about to go inside now, and I'll have more on that in our next report. The first thing we saw at the Immaculate Conception Hospital was a family waiting outside on the sidewalk for surgery. The mom was holding her child's IV bag, and he was struggling to breathe. Eric Hewish is a med student with our group.
This child right here, and it has what's called a volvulus, which is where its intestines wrap around each other, and it obstructs any sort of passage of any fecal matter. And so it's very dangerous because it can distend and it can rupture and cause an infection that will kill the infant.
We learned the infant is 15 months old. John Collins has not gotten any nutrition since the bowel obstruction happened. Now, surgery to straighten out his intestines will fix the problem, but he's so malnourished at this point, it's risky.
Yeah, they're giving the baby oxygen. They think he has an upper respiratory infection from aspirating some of his vomit. That's pretty common with some sort of obstruction. He is on the oxygen. We are patiently waiting for the Haitian surgeons to come in. Things move a little slower here. It's a little less organized than you'd expect to see back home.
John Collins died before they even began surgery. The doctors told me that he was so weak when they started the anesthesia, he began to relax, and he quit fighting. We'll have more tomorrow. Our medical mission team is in Lakai, Haiti, and today we visited the pediatric ward at the Immaculate Conception Hospital. Probably the hardest thing to see was a malnourished one-year-old. Nick Forenville's mother was sick after she was born, and the child didn't get enough to eat.
Can I hold her? Can I hold her?
Then things got worse when the earthquake hit. She told Nurse Midge Barron from Charlotte they lost their home and everything in it. The Terre des Hommes clinic is serving cereal with beef gravy, but Nicknu's mother says she doesn't want to eat.
She has vomiting and diarrhea, and is this related to the earthquake? You could not get help during the earthquake?
This hospital is run by the Haitian government. Even though there is no money to pay, Nicknus and her mother were not turned away. Other children are looking much better. They're beginning to get some meat on their bones. We'll have more tomorrow. This is Kim Bratton. It's been an intense morning here in Lakai, Haiti. Our two plastic surgeons are trying to save a young girl's leg.
5. So she's had 5 debridements already.
Ann Jenkins is afraid she'll lose it. She's 17, a student, and was in her dorm at Sacré-Cœur School in Port-au-Prince when the earthquake hit. The muscles of her right leg were crushed, and she was trapped under the rubble for 2 days. She's been to several doctors to have the wound cleaned, but right now it is horribly infected.
If you get a good amputation, get it healed well with a local tissue flap and get her a prosthesis, which is available, then she'll be back at it so much faster. To go through 5 or 6 operations and eventually come to an amputation is just going to take her body down even further than it is.
We don't know.
Charlotte plastic surgeons Jake Jacobs and Bill Mullis are testing her foot to see if she still has feelings. There is some, and that's a good sign, but much of the flesh on her lower leg is necrotic. It's dead. Ann wants to be a doctor. She spends her time listening to American music. She loves the Black Eyed Peas. Her father's deceased. She came to the hospital with her 2 cousins from Lakai. The doctors have Ann in surgery right now. They've promised her they will do their very best, and she's in good hands. We'll have more later. I'm Kim Bratton. We're waiting now to find out if an operation to save an earthquake victim's lower leg was successful or not.
She was injured during the earthquake.
17-year-old Ann Jenkins was trapped for 2 days after her school dormitory collapsed. I spoke with her just before she went into surgery.
She says she thought it was the end of the world.
How are we doing for another 10 blade, you think, Leah?
Over the week since the quake, Ann's had 5 surgeries to remove damaged tissue.
You got some sponges there?
2 plastic surgeons from Charlotte with the Medical Relief Group, A Hand Up for Haiti, are trying to remove the dead and infected tissue. But going into this operation, they only gave her about a 10% chance of success.
You know what? This is the easy part.
Ann wants to be a doctor when she grows up. While in school, she's living with her uncle, who's a lawyer in Port-au-Prince. Her father's deceased. Dr. Bill Mullis from Charlotte came out of the OR smiling.
Yeah, that was great.
We got in there, we cleaned the wound up, started debriding, and actually the condition is much more optimistic than we had anticipated. Now I would say that if we can get some really good care and dressing changes and so forth, that she probably stands maybe a 50%, maybe even 60% chance of not losing it.
So how does it make you feel?
Pretty good. Amazing.
If Ann had the advantages of U.S. aftercare, sterile dressings, and good follow-up, she would probably keep her leg. We'll check back with her, and I'll have more later. I'm Kim Bratton in Lakai, Haiti. Our medical mission team started the morning at 7 a.m. inside this concrete Haitian church. But 2 hours of church down here definitely is not 2 hours of preaching. This church has a festival atmosphere. People dressed in their Sunday best earnestly worshiped, but also just had a good time. This church was founded by El Shaddai, the people who run the Cambry orphanage where we're staying. They invited our organizer, Dr. Jerry Barron, to speak.
We are teachers, students, missionaries, pharmacists, journalists, doctors, mothers, husband and wives.
We'll be in the orphanage this afternoon. They've turned one of the classrooms there into a dormitory for the children from Port-au-Prince, and I'll have more on that later. I'm Kim Bratton. The Cambry Orphanage in Lacaille, Haiti has 100 extra children now. They're refugees from the earthquake. They're living in the orphanage classroom. You can see mattresses stacked in a pile. Their possessions are in backpacks, a pile of clothing underneath the chalkboard. It's a safe haven. Most of these kids didn't have a roof over their heads. Now they get 2 meals a day, although some of them are still very thin.
They have thin arms, and the skin texture shows protein deficiency. And also you can tell from the bulging of the belly that a lot of these children are protein deficient and definitely malnourished.
Our group brought some washcloths, matchbox cars, and clothing, and nearly caused a riot.
One at a time.
But some children seem to be more interested in friendship. One teenager finds Elaine Walters every time she walks by.
This is Melanie. She is from Carrefour, Port-au-Prince. She does not have any family. And she's been calling for Mommy since we've been down here.
Another of the orphans was found in a garbage dump when she was 2. I'll have Shanika's story in my next posting. Hi, I'm Kim Bratton at the Cambry Orphanage in Lacaille, Haiti. One of the women who's with our medical mission team has been coming here 4 years in a row, and over those years, she's bonded with a little girl who was found in a dumpster.
Shaika, hop, 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 hop. That's the bunny, yeah. Shaika is probably 8 now. Shaika was found in Ghana Eves after the hurricane in 2004, and they found her wandering around with no family at all, and they just gave her a name. So the first time I came, she kind of hung onto my hand and crawled on my lap and whatever. And since I've been down several other times, I've gotten to know her.
You were saying you would like to adopt her.
Yes, but I'm 67, and I would have no way of assuring that I would live long enough to see her raised. So I'm just hoping that someone will, at some point or other, adopt her.
Never know when you'll need that. You see a ton of kids, but there's certain kids that try to seek you out every day. The same 3 kids. I mean, any time I come down, the same 3. I mean, you bond with a lot, but there's a couple that just, I mean, you want to be with every single day.
The people who run the orphanage do arrange some adoptions. It's called El Shaddai, ESMI home.org. More tomorrow. I'm Kim Bratton with Hand Up for Haiti. Let me show you a rural clinic pharmacy.
So we're the pharmacy.
So I'm just helping. I'm just a runner. I'm not a pharmacist. I'm learning to be one though.
I'm Jay Cassio, and in the U.S. I am a pharmacist, but I've now turned to pharmaceutical sales. So we're in the middle of a pharmacy that when we got here was all dust and all old meds, and it really wasn't organized. We had 2 groups of people came down at the same time. They did an awesome job. Once a day. This is my buddy John, and he's the local guy in charge, and he's having to learn where everything is again because we had so much stuff we had to reorganize the whole place. So now they've got enough stuff to really do some damage on some of these bacterial infections that they have. They give them a beta blocker.
I bet there's over $20,000 worth of medication in this room, easily, all donated.
We're going to see the patients in the clinic next, but there are no lights here, so the nurses have set up outside. I'll have more later. The mission nurses see children when they're at the Cambry Orphanage, but they also see everybody else in the village once word gets out that they're here.
Because he needs some tests. Okay, for TB, okay, and HIV test. Leah Vu. I'm a surgical tech for CMC Maine, and Presbyterian, Maine, and I'm also a nursing student at Queen's University, and we're seeing patients left and right. He's really malnourished, as you can see, can't afford to have regular meals, maybe 1 or 2 meals a day if he's lucky, and we hear crackles in his lungs.
What did they say it was? Cancer? Cancer. This lady apparently had cancer and had some kind of a surgery sometime or other about a year ago, and it has returned. And she's coming here today to ask what we can do about it, and we're going to have to send her to the hospital because at a clinic we could not do anything about it. And this is the frustration of working in a third world country.
Yeah.
So
we're going back to the hospital tomorrow to check on Niknu, the 2-year-old girl who is malnourished, and also Anne, the young woman whose leg was crushed in the earthquake. We'll have more tomorrow. Our medical mission team is headed back to Immaculate Conception Hospital right now for one last day in Haiti.
It's looking a lot cleaner here.
We're concerned about people with difficult cases, people like Ann Jenkins. We've started calling her Dr. Ann because she wants to go to med school. Our doctors are trying to save her leg, crushed in the earthquake.
Our concern is that the deep wound at the bottom of her foot does not look good. And if she comes to amputation, we're hoping that it would just be a little bit of her foot so that we could save her heel.
And that has lots of protein.
We're especially concerned about thousands of children who are underfed in Haiti, like Niknu Florenville.
And at this point, you know, at his size and his age, I just don't know that he's going to have a recoverable situation. Part of this situation is, you know, education for sanitation, clean water. You know, it's a massive civil engineering project.
Her single mother's home collapsed in the quake. In Haiti, there's not a government structure in place to care for young amputees without parents. There's no child welfare or education system. It's heartening to see the Cambrai orphanage crowded and underfunded, but these are the lucky ones because they're not on the street. So goodbye from Haiti for now. We will continue to monitor this situation and look for answers. Our team just can't let this go.